All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Apocalypse World campaign, The Frozen Heights. As always, this is Mr. JP Stilts, and I'm very happy to be rejoined by Dusk, Lark, Chris, and Sam. We're going to really hop right back into the action, as it were. Previously on The Frozen Heights, we had a few conversations throughout the area. We started off, we had Chris. Chris, unfortunately, was in the bunker. There was no light. It was quite dark. There was no sound. He had to find the backup generator, which he did, but only after hearing the eerie song of Tammy singing to herself. The first time he's heard her voice in a while, singing "I Love You," the Barney song, as it were, holding herself in the corner of where the twins had been melted or popped or whatever happened to them. He also had the influence of the Whisperer, and strangely enough, she seemed to help him instead of stop him or harm him in any way. Unfortunately, that wasn't really the danger. The danger, well, was a mixture of Tammy giving him a really big hug. She was really showing him the love, and then him tripping and hitting his head on the stairs.
That first step, folks.
It's always dangerous. Always a bit scary. Well, back at the castle, we had Sam, Lark, and Dusk hanging out there. It started off with Sam kind of seeing a group of people trying to get into the medics building. Something's wrong with the kids in there. The parents are trying to figure out what's going on with them. The Legion's able to have them all back away. The Emperor comes out, kind of resolves the situation, and she decided to investigate this Medicae. The information she got was that this Medicae, this doctor, was doing something to the kids, and she wanted to figure out exactly what that is, especially because he seems to be tied to some weird shit, and Sam's not about that weird shit. So she headed down to the dungeon and had a bit of a conversation with Crusacious. Learned that Crusacious is also not a fan of the weird shit. Seems to be kind of a dog of the Emperor. Definitely the monster kept in the basement. Gave her a little bit of information and was able to... Gave her a little information, and she was heading out to find Lark. Lark was in the process of trying to have a conversation with Shazah. The conversation was interrupted by Shazah's mother. There was a bit of a situation between her and Dusk. There was a whole thing. It all ended with Lark and Shazah in the ice room of his father's house, or butcher. And Dusk ended up on the roof, able to overhear a conversation. Shazah reluctantly kind of tells Lark a little bit about what's going on, that he has something in him that he's not a fan of, that he doesn't like, that he's kind of scared of. He seems to be even more scared of Lark, and Lark just wants to help. So we got to see Lark do something that we've never seen before. Lark turned himself into an augury of sorts, able to reach through the weird and for a moment sever the connection that the Maelstrom had with Shazah. Dusk was in a vision as this happened, saw this fountain, one side full of blood seeming to fuel the other side of pure clean water, pouring out of the face of Shazah. And, well, Lark rolls up in a large wrecking ball and destroys the whole thing. The tap of the water source still exists, but as far as everything else, it seems to have been destroyed. Unfortunately, with that, the strength that Shazah had been carrying on his shoulders quickly fell, and the injuries that he'd succumbed only a few days before, well, they reappeared. Lark was able to place his hand on him and allow him to regain a bit of health, but he's still not doing that well. They were off to take him or find the Medicae, but the three of you, Sam, Lark, and Dusk, hear a horn go off at the distance. You see a few members of the Legion up on the wall, seeming to yell out to each other. And after a moment, you see what it is that they're looking at. there is a black mass. It's too solid to be a cloud. It's too fast to be just simple smoke. It's maybe, well, from this distance it's hard to tell. It looks fairly large, and it's moving in the direction of the castle. You cannot see through it. It's not at all opaque. It is a solid black mass, and it's quickly moving this way. The Legion sees it. Doghead's already running to go find the Emperor or the Legate, trying to get them aware of the situation. Sam, you probably saw it before the other two. What's Sam's response to this strange black thing floating towards the castle?
Immediately remember her friend's got the long-range hunting rifle and is gonna go and get that thing from that drunken bitch.
Right. Sam goes charging off into the tavern and sees Kryn still sitting in the same table, her feet up against the table, a bit of a very smelly glass of goat's milk, probably a bit of a line over her, and she sees you coming and just kind of raises her glass like, hey. And then as soon as she sees how quickly you're moving at her, she's like, hey. She drops her feet down. What is it?
You conscious enough to shoot that thing?
Shoot what?
Motions towards the rifle. Motions towards the rifle that she let her keep.
Right. You what are we talking about? She stands up, kind of pulls the rifle off and just heads towards the doorway where you're at.
I don't know, but it's not good, I'll tell you that much. That's coming, especially since it's in the sky. And quickly hearts back out, grabbing her assault rifle off her own back.
As soon as Kryn looks out, she looks for a moment and she raises the lens, the scope up to her eye. What
do you see?
I need to get higher. She kind of looks towards the tower that's across the way, the tower that's back here. I'm gonna get up there. I'll haul her down.
I'm with you.
All right. She begins to run.
Let's get going.
You probably run past Lark. Lark, you can see this whole mass. Rourke has seen it, or at least heard the commotion. He hasn't seen it yet because the wall is kind of blocking his view. You can just see it barely over the top of the wall. But he kind of looks towards you, walking out of the butchery. Kind of a, what's the situation? Like, is there danger? The same look you've probably seen a few times when you've heard scuffles or various dangers in the other town. Like, this has escalated. What's going on?
I think seeing this, Lark just kind of mouths, "Oh shit," which is probably a pretty good indication to Rourke that things are not good. This is not a good situation, whatever it is. Lark looks at Dusk and Shazah, and he just kind of motions for them to follow him. He's like, "Quickly, we have to get the shelter." And he starts making his way towards the church.
Right. Dusk, you have Shazah. I think he's walking next to you. There's still the awkwardness between the two of you, but he's able to move. He sees that thing in the air, and he looks to you. No. It can't be. And he falls to his knees, trembling, shaking.
Lark will probably stop when he turns and sees Shazah, instead of getting to cover, is just on his knees cowering.
Before I do anything else, I think Dusk will want to try and figure out what the hell that thing is.
Right.
In her one way. So, can I open my brain?
Absolutely.
I just imagine Lark looking over like, "Hey, that's my thing."
Oh yeah. Dusk, You remember that scene you had with the Emperor sitting amongst the castle? You two were at the chess table.
Mm-hmm.
You remember when the entity walked over all big, giant-like, and like crushed everything down below?
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing that again, but this time the Emperor's not there.
Shit.
Oh shit.
Um.
And that's the sound he makes.
uh, okay. Let me see. What should I do? I mean, we could try to fight this thing, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
Right.
Because if it's just like that vision, that thing is just going to literally obliterate the castle in a second.
Right. Yeah, it's a massive circular foot that just slams down and destroys the castle. Just another step on its journey.
Well, I'm going to. Dusk is going to turn to Lark, and she's going to whisper to him. Open your brain.
Lark just kind of returns a bit of a look of like his expressions kind of say like, now?
Yes.
Lark kind of like looks to Dusk, then looks to the mass, and oh boy. Lark is indeed going to open his brain.
Absolutely.
He might do something else as well while he's within the maelstrom.
And Lark, I mean, this thing looks like it's coming from the direction of Princey's place. And Sam, you probably noticed that as well. Like the direction it's moving is definitely kind of from that area.
Oh shit.
Well, now we know what wrecked it when Sam went by.
It's all Sam's fault.
I'm not sure
Never
any one person can take blame for this. All right. So that's a 10.
All right. Oh. So Lark, you find yourself standing in the same cave that you had seen in the vision with Princey. But this time it's not a lake that you're seeing. As you walk through the same opening expecting the lake to be there, there's a smaller area of water. There's circular stone walls. You kind of approach and you can hear up above. It looks like you're standing in a well. You can hear up above the sounds of people talking, conversing. It sounds like the general conversation of the marketplace, but all their voices are muffled and foreign. You're not able to make out any specific people. After a moment, you start to feel some drops. You expect, okay, maybe some of the snow's melting. But then you notice on your hand there's a solid drop, and it's rain. You may have seen rain down in the lowlands, but certainly never up this high. But it's dark. And then there's another drop, and another drop. And the water begins to spread across your hands.
Lark looks down at his feet, kind of realizing what happens next.
begins to fill in the well, but as it does, you can see your flesh begin to turn once more, as it did in the vision in that living room. It becomes dark, sheen, shiny, solid. Your baptism awaits you.
I'm going to use visions of death.
Right.
As this is happening, because I think Lark is realizing like something's coming to a head right now, and it is far beyond anything anyone here has ever experienced before. Nice.
Visions of death.
When you go into battle, roll plus weird. I'm kind of figuring there's going to be some sort of conflict here.
Yeah, the Legion definitely seems to think so. And I mean,
Yeah.
Kryn and Sam just went to the top of that tower, so probably.
Yeah, so on a 10
name
plus...
one person who'll die and one who'll live. The MC will make your vision come true if it's even remotely possible. It says, don't name a player's character, name NPCs only.
Excellent, excellent. For the one that will live... There's so many people I don't want to lose. For the one that will live, Lark knows that his promise to Dusk is not quite yet fulfilled, so I'm going to say Shazah will live.
Right.
And for the one that will die...
Yay.
Oh, this will come at a cost to you eventually, trust me.
Oh.
For the one that will die, I'm going to say... I think Lark has an idea what's causing this. I'm going to say Princey.
Awesome.
So whatever Lark took from Shazah is taking effect.
Right. I think, and in this vision, you almost have the reflection that, is it because of... It's this dual motive that, okay, you know that you removed Shazah from the maelstrom. You know that the entity has spoken of this before, but you also have seen the direction this is coming from and know that through your baptism, the death of Princey is inevitable. Like, that is the purpose of it. As you both kind of open your eyes, Shazah has fainted, lying, his breath melting, the snow, still shaking now, probably from the cold, more from fear. Whatever this thing means to him, he has succumbed to his full and utter fear of it.
Well, that's not helping anybody. Oh God.
Dusk will turn to Lark again, and now that he has seen what's going on, she asks him in a whisper, "What are you going to do?"
Lark having that vision, Dusk probably sees a huge grin on Lark's face right now. And Lark just kind of smiling. And I imagine some serious shadow stuff is happening right now.
Yeah,
between opening my brain successfully and the visions of death. Oh, wonder what I think it is? Lark's eyes are completely black as he looks over at Dusk.
Yep.
And Lark just kind of smiles and he says, "We live, and Princey dies." And he grabs Shazah and kind of just hoists him up onto his shoulder. "Come on, Dusk. There's work to be done." he starts walking with Shazad towards the church.
Right. Sam,
Dusk will follow.
you and Kryn get to the top of the tower. From up here, you can tell this thing's maybe another mile or so out. You can see the shadow of it being carried across the snow. Kryn kind of stops and rests her rifle up on one of the bricks at the top of the tower and looks at it. Shit, I've never seen nothing like this.
I doubt you would. What you seeing is what I'm asking.
Fucking wings. And a lot of them.
The fuck? Let me see.
She moves out of the way.
And I quickly take the rifle in hand and peer down the scope.
You see a flying blob. It's as if some child had maybe 300, 400 rubber black birds that they allowed to sit on the dashboard of their mother's car for a bit too long. All these birds are connected, and yet you can see there's wings flapping, allowing this thing to fly. But there's a strange liquid to it. It almost looks like there's waves, air moving through or past this thing, causing ripples on it. You don't see any heads or beaks or feet. It's just a big blob of dark, inky-like material with wings. Many wings.
Fuck! It had to be weird. Just had to be weird shit. And she backs away from the gun. Just had to be fucking weird shit. Couldn't just be something simple. No! It just had to be a giant fucking blob.
I have no idea. I mean, we could shoot it.
Give me a second. Give me a second. She starts scratching her chin. Fuck. I need to concentrate. And she lifts open one of her pockets and pulls out a vial of the blue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Her special drug. And as she downs it, she's gonna open her mind.
Perfect.
Seeing what she can do. The question be to what can she do to repel this thing?
Right. Yeah, go ahead. I'll say take a +1 for it as you use your blue power or your blue powder there. Oh boy, we're all open our minds. Oh, very nice. All right, you want to know what will make this thing go away?
Or at least how to either repel it or take it down. Preferably take it down, but I don't think that's quite an option with her limited firepower.
I just imagine, like, as she's taking the drugs, Lark just walks by.
You find yourself in... It's almost like you're watching a film. It's black and white. I don't know if you've ever seen the original, like, 1940s Battle of Los Angeles kind of picture where there's all these spotlights going up to this dark mass that's in the sky. There's elements of anti-aircraft explosions, things like that. You're seeing a scene like that. There's a blob up high, but there's a single spotlight that is shining on it. It's a large spotlight. You realize where that spotlight's coming from as you follow it down to the ground. That spotlight comes from Princey's place.
Fuck! She's gonna throw down the vial after she opens her eyes and seems to come out of her drug stupor for a second and throws it on the ground hard. Fuck! We gotta go.
Kryn, to the truck?
To the fucking truck.
That's right. Let's get out of here.
Whatever that fucking thing is, the only thing that can stop it is a place of fucking collapse that we drove by. Fuck.
Shit. I thought we were maybe going the other way. You want to go towards that thing?
The only way we're going towards that thing is if that's where the Dusty Coyote's going. Otherwise, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, let's go. She kind of packs up her rifle real quick.
Ready. And she tosses her the keys. I gotta grab a couple people real quick. Shit's gonna go down, and I don't want to be here when it does.
She just grabs him and begins running down, heading to the truck. By this point, the Emperor, you can probably see him as you're coming down. He has taken position up on one of the balconies of the castle, and he actually has a long kind of golden periscope that he has extended. And you see him turn to talk to the legate, and like you can almost read his lips. Get the car. Legate nods, begins to run away. Chris, your head hurts. Oh, it hurts. Ugh. Shit. No. Beep. 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 Damn it, that radar's going off again. Wait, where's Tammy? Tammy's not here either. Ugh. Do we have any Tylenol in this place? Chris, you wake up. After being passed out for a few moments on the stairs. Tammy's nowhere in the local area. The song's playing, but you can hear the steady beep of the radar. It's not close. You can tell it's towards the edge of your radar. But whatever had been on there when the power went out is still there. Maybe Dad is not here at the moment. So that's okay.
I had my mic muted, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. I was like, oh, well, Chris is in a deep sleep, so we'll let him be.
Didn't realize I was... Yeah, it hit his head real hard. Didn't realize I was still muted. So Chris kind of grabs his head like, oh, Tammy. Oh, shit. Kind of stumbles towards the radar, still not all quite there. Like, he doesn't even have time to get his bearings. Everything's just hitting him at once.
Right. It's like there's light. You pass, like, you remember that the stasis is open. Like, it kind of makes you jump because you see somebody's face behind the tank, and you're like, oh, wait, that door's open now.
Christ!
The whole place, like the lights are on, the music's back on, but everything's out of whack. You heard Tammy singing, then she tried to give you a big hug. She was trying to dig her nails into herself.
Yeah, his ribs are probably a bit sore too.
Right.
Not as much as the back of his head, but one problem at a time. Am I right? Because that's how life goes for Chris. So Chris just stumbles towards the radar and tries to, he wants to see if it's the same blip that he saw earlier.
Right. It looks similar to the size of the diving flock you had seen. Maybe a bit smaller in radius. The location of it is further than you've seen anything before, and you may have only gotten very faint blips every once in a while, only when, say, 13 or 14 individuals were killed in a courtyard. Like, there may have been a small little blip on your radar at that point, but this one, it's solid. It's not an area you've seen before, but it's past Princey's place, and the amount of people that have been talking about the castle, it seems to be the relative location of going in that direction.
Chris kind of he probably rubs his eyes once and looks at it again like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Right.
And he just looks at his. Oh no, no! God damn it! He like punches the radar a bit, but he pulls his punch because he knows if he breaks that, that's bad.
Right.
But he's still frustrated and feels the need to hit something. Then I guess he turns out and starts, Tammy, where'd you go?
You kind of look around for a moment, and you see her reflection off of one of the tanks in the stasis room. She's kind of off into the corner.
Oh, God. Stumbles over to her. Tammy, what are you doing?
She is staring at Henry, or Shockwave, just staring at him. Did these two have a relationship back in the day? Is this something Chris knew of? Or was it something more? Something else?
I think there was always, like, Shockwave, after losing his hearing and everything, probably there was a stretch where he started feeling a bit distant from everyone else, but he remained pretty close to Tammy. I think they probably knew each other before even Chris became part of this unit. Because I imagine they were very much, once they got to the Anima facility, they were very much pulled from very different regions.
Right.
And they didn't really... So, I don't know. I guess it was probably one of those situations, like maybe in a different life, they seemed to get along very well, had a lot of common interests. Shockwave was also a pretty big Green Day fan, despite his losing his hearing to an explosion.
Right.
Um,
It's something that could have been, but never was, kind of situation.
Yeah, they weren't in a good situation for it. Though they never talked about it too much. Chris knew that they had people back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there was always that feeling that, like, if the situation had been different, that they may have had an actual relationship.
Right. Yeah, for the moment, she's just looking at him. It's probably been a long time since she's even seen the face of any of these people. I mean, she was the first. You're not sure how long she was out here by herself. You don't know any of that. She just stands, breathing, looking.
Chris kind of puts a hand on Tammy's shoulder and kind of an attempt to convey understanding to her.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows words just don't really seem to get to her anymore. So perhaps, like a more physical gesture is more effective. He just kind of puts his hand on her shoulder and looks at Shockwave for a bit himself.
Right.
Really probably starts looking around all the pods, because before, when the stasis was first opened up, he was in a rush. He didn't really have time to take in the fact that it's open now.
Exactly. Like, how does that realization hit you when you look at what's happened over the past few days, how everything is beginning to escalate? How good would it be to have the rest of your squad here to sort this out? But there's no quick and easy way to make that happen.
And then there's the fact that he knows things might happen if he opens those pods.
Exactly. How do you do it safely? How do you make sure that what happens to Tammy doesn't happen to them, that they are not affected by everything that's happening? It even seems to be more dangerous now than it was when you were taken out. And that caused Tammy to become what she is now. Now you have things literally everywhere coming out of the woodwork.
Chris kind of just takes a breath. Oh, Tammy. I really wanna, but honestly, I don't know if I could do this if I had to take care of them too, if the same shit happens. And then there's probably a little bit of a thought that occurs to Chris. And he asks this seriously, despite the fact Tammy might not understand. He's like, why'd you choose me? Out of everyone here, Henry included, you let me out.
She reaches out to you and grabs that small glove you have on your waist or on your belt. That child's glove that you carry with you. She just reaches out, grabs it, and squeezes it for a moment and lets it go. Still staring at Henry's tank.
I think I'm going to read a person.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ooh, wow.
Nice.
Okay.
We're on a roll lately.
I know, right?
And the fighting
Don't
hasn't
say
even
that.
started.
Don't say that now. What is Tammy really feeling?
Tammy really wants to... She really wants to hug Henry.
What does Tammy wish Chris would do?
In this moment, she wants... I think that little squeezing the glove is a sign that she wants you to trust yourself, to go do what Chris thinks is best for himself, to stop hesitating. I think that her symbolism is a matter of there was a time that you understood what it meant to live for something more than yourself. That time is still now.
How... what? I'm trying to think of even what Chris would want Tammy to do. I guess a better question would be, what does Tammy intend to do?
Watch over them. As she did you.
Chris is going to take Tammy's hand and guide it over to the release button by Henry's pod. And he just looks at her and he just kind of nods. Like it gives like a approving nod.
Her hand rests there for a moment, more solid than you've seen her, able to kind of control herself for a while. She looks towards the button, towards Henry.
Tammy, when we do this, we got to get into the isolation chamber ASAP. Got it? Might be the only shot he has.
She drops her hand, turns around, and begins walking towards you, grabs you by the shoulder. I love you, and begins to push you out of the room. You love me. Keeps pushing. We're a happy family. Pushes you out and gives you like this look of go.
Chris kind of just blinks a little bit, taken aback by that. And he's just like, Tammy, he kind of fumbles with his words for a bit and then just sighs. I might not come back, you know.
She grabs the mitten again and squeezes it.
He just kind of nods and takes a big breath, trying to maintain composure. You did good without me before. You're strong. Stronger than I ever was. Even now, Tammy, I trust you. I'll be back. And Chris turns. He starts heading towards the door. Grabs his rifle. Begins putting on his camouflage as he gets his gear ready. He pulls the bolt back on the sniper rifle, make sure it's loaded, pushes it forward again. He takes one more look out at everything, and there's probably that brief pause as Boulevard of Broken Dreams starts up again.
Right.
And Chris begins walking towards the exit.
As you begin to head up the stairs, you wait for a moment, expecting to hear the door close behind you, but it hits on something solid. Dunk. You turn around. Tammy's standing at the bottom of the stairs. She throws something at you.
Do I have to roll cool to catch it?
No.
Okay.
As long as you want to catch it. If you
Yeah. Yeah, Chris reaches out and grabs it.
It's a key to a vehicle. Before
Chris.
and you come back to something. Some kind of notes that you had read at some point. For a long time, you always wondered about what this horse she was talking about was. And this stable that she mentioned, and the open plains, and all of these visions or weird poems.
Chris probably dismissed a lot of it as gibberish at first, but seeing the key, it's probably a bit of an initial "where have you been hiding this" look. And then another understanding nod.
There's, again, been many changes with Tammy over the past few days. The twins, the stasis. She's not all there, but there's more than that was there even a few days ago. So now knowing that there's a vehicle on the property, just a matter of finding it. Seeing if it still runs, able to get out of there. But what is Chris's intention? Say he is able to find a working vehicle and begin to drive it. Where is his destination? Is he even planning on going that far? Is he just trying to get to a familiar spot? What's Chris's plan as he gets to the surface?
Now, there's talk of the castle. I imagine before the apocalypse, there was probably... I imagine he had heard of it. It was probably like a tourist location or something. Like, come see the castle.
Right.
So I think he...
That begs the question. It might not be really super important, but did we settle on where this actually takes place?
Uh-huh. I'll pull it up here while he's answering that.
And I think Chris remembers there was kind of like a raised area overlooking the castle. And he's just in his head thinking, I was a pretty damn good shot. It'll be far. But if I can spot the source of this from there, I might have an opportunity to end this. At least this one incident.
Oh, Germany.
Austria. Yeah,
Oh.
it's whatever. It's one of those. it's somewhere.
I mean, yeah, like Austria is like little Germany.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not exact, but that's the rough idea I have in mind.
Just replace the green with white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So I definitely think like Chris is like it would be a hard shot, but like the castle seems to be the source of what's happening right now.
Right. Get to
the. He made a vow to himself, to Tammy, to his unit, to everything that was the world before, to end these things within the Maelstrom. And that's exactly what he's going to go do.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of, and even getting past, you know, there's a few things to check off your list as you're kind of heading down that way. As Chris begins to prepare to go out and search the campus, Lark, Dusk, and Shazah get to the church. There is a lot of loud shouting coming from the walls above you. The Legion is beginning to arm themselves with a variety of bows, crossbows. There's a few, they're not called trebuchets, ballista, that it seems this man Foster has been working on. And there's someone yelling out about, has anyone seen the car keys? Dusk, you hear that. What's your initial reaction to what's going on around you?
I mean, they're still in Shazad, right?
Say that again? Oh yeah, you
They're...
know Shazad still has the keys in his pocket. Yeah.
Well, they'll have to do without it.
Right.
Lark is still just like big grin on his face, probably still wisps of shadow in his retinas at this point.
You walk into that church and all the cults there. I mean, Abraham, Rourke, Rakara, Ram. You got Pepper, Preen, Lee. Yeah, only one missing is Larissa. As soon as they see you, there was a few like concerned looks. Oh, they all drop to their knees. It is as if the Emperor had just walked in to the room. They immediately drop down, not knowing. They don't know how to look upon your face at this moment.
So Lark just smiling, like standing tall despite the fact he has a person on his back. He goes over to Preen and just kind of as gently as he can puts Shazah down.
She immediately like grabs him, and you can tell like she wants to look to Dusk, but she doesn't. She does her best ability to give you like a smile, but you can tell a little bit that it's forced, a bit through fear and concern. But also, like, I understand that you brought him here for a reason, so thank you. In a way, you've done what I've asked of you.
So Lark, kind of just smiling down at Preen, just says, "The boy has my protection and the entity's. Regardless of what happens here, he will live."
Praise you. Praise you. Thank you. It is good
Lark,
to have him back in my arms. Thank you.
Lark kind of marches up to the where the podium used to be, grabs his skull,
Dusk still has that.
Did I-
You
Oh,
did. You
I
gave
think
it to him.
Reaches
That's
for his
right.
skull and finds nothing.
That's right. I reach for the skull. And he turns to Dusk and just holds his hand out and like, gimme, gimme, gimme.
Okay.
And Lark makes a point. Everyone, the Wraith, handing me my skull. One of us. Like you're in the middle of the group as you hand it over to Lark. And all eyes are on Dusk. Dusk is, I imagine, incredibly uncomfortable.
Right. Oh,
A little.
there's a lot of grins. Like, yes, yes. Oh, to have her on our side. We heard what she did to help Larissa. Oh, this
And
is a
Lark
good
goes
day.
back up to the podium. Followers of the entity, blessed be this day. Our enemies loom in the sky above us, but we are not afraid. What they wish they could have become, we are so much greater. The one Princey deemed us as beings of darkness, as evil, and denounced the entity. He believes his own deity will guide him on a righteous path, but he is misguided, as so many are. This day, the heretic dies. This day, we praise the entity.
Praise the entity. They all begin to kind of chat, a mixture of Dusk. You can tell they're not saying praise the entity. They're saying praise Lark, but just using the entity's name in his place.
And Lark just seems like he's soaking all of this up.
Sam, you arrive in the doorway. You can see about 10 individuals on their knees looking towards Lark, eyes black, shadows darting against the back. This figure of white, this young girl, dark hair, dressed in clothing that seems completely unrealistic for the climate, standing in the middle of them. A young boy laying completely passed out in another woman's arms, and they are all chanting.
You! My dog's off too.
Oh dear.
You
brought dogs.
Dogs have been sent.
And Lark dies.
I've never met a role-playing dog before. This is amazing.
But anyway, as she yells that, and she just comes fucking stomping in, bashing that door practically open as hard as she can.
I'm going to use Entity's insight as I see this very clear and present danger approaching me.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So on a partial, let me just get here.
And that gives me another improvement. I want to take it now because I'm going to choose another option for my followers.
Right.
And let me just get the option I've wanted. I've thought about taking this option for a while. Where is it? Oh, your followers taken as a body constitute a powerful psychic antenna plus augury.
Nice. There we go. That's so perfect with what happened last time. Okay.
So I imagine Sam walking into the church and it all just like the walls go black.
Right. Which one of those are you taking? Take the +1 forward when you make a move that the entity guides you towards, or -1 towards an action made by you. I know we have to talk about what the entity, what their actually insight is, but What's your selection there?
I'm going to say -1 towards an action made against me. And I imagine the entity like kind of wreathing Lark like armor.
Oh, how does Lark see the entity's insight? Going back to the origins of Lark, there was seeing someone kind of surrounded, like in a desert place or something like that, if I recall. Kind of your first opening into the entity. Is that correct? I remember something about seeing like visions of someone walking through fire or something like that.
I think there were like a lot of like death metaphors in his visions and everything. So I don't remember if I mentioned anything specifically about fire. I remember like he found the skull in what was probably like an old art museum after like basically on the brink of death, and was the first time his brain actually opened.
Right.
And that saved him. But yeah, there were probably like a lot of like death visions of like and maybe even metaphoring like walking a path to nowhere, just walking through a desert and withering to nothing.
Right. There's almost a whisper you feel. Help her kill it. Your baptism has already come.
Lark smiles as Sam enters.
I should also mention.
Did
you look directly at Sam now?
Yeah.
You can now see, compared to Lark's full black eyes, Sam's are a pure blue.
White Walker blue?
The same blue that's the
powder.
That's from the powder, the exact same blue. And the back of her hair, that's normally also flat, is now slightly curled at the end of it. Around the edges.
Lark just smiles. I honestly don't think he even noticed at this point because he is riding a high train right now. And he says this, guest, honored guest, Sam. You see, Princey, he descends upon us. He thinks his deity will wipe us out on his behalf, but it is he who will perish this day.
Fucker's probably already dead, you stupid son bitch, and he's the only one who had the fucking reins to this goddamn thing!
For now.
You're damn right now. And she just seems she's now right in Lark's face, not even giving a crap about the followers. You got two options. Come now, or wake up later tied to a bumper.
Rourke stands to this, joins Lark by your side.
Oh,
Ram
this is an
stands
encounter I've been waiting for.
To this, seeing Rourke do the same. Abraham stands. Preen grabs her son and backs away. What is Dusk doing?
I say she wants to go near Preen, but she probably doesn't want that. So she just kind of goes into the corner opposite to Preen.
Right.
Lark's gonna like gesture for his cult members to sit down because he is afraid of nothing at this point. But he gestures towards Dusk and kind of beckons, "Come, we, the three of us. Nothing can stand before us." Absolutely nothing.
And she immediately slaps the fuck out of him.
Ooh. Go ahead and try.
All right. Yeah, that definitely sounds
that
like...
That is going aggro, I think.
Is it, or is it sucker? I guess, yeah, at this point you have a chance to miss, and are you going to inflict your -1 on this, Lark?
Yeah.
You're gonna let it happen. Okay.
Yeah, because that -1 was intended for if Sam was going to do anything. So
Yeah. So go ahead and roll that hard, and it's going to be -1 on your roll. No problem. You smack him real hard.
Get your fucking head in the game.
Yeah, force your hand and suck it up or cave and do what you have to do. Let's see. Your fist, that's gonna be 1 harm.
I have 1 armor.
2. It's actually 2.
2 harm. Okay.
Bloodthirst,
that's right.
Blood craze. Whenever I inflict harm, I inflict an additional 1.
There you go.
I don't get it would be 3 if this was combat, but since it's outside of combat, it's 2 harm.
Right.
So.
And Lark, you have.
I have 1 armor.
Right. So let's do a harm roll at +1.
Ooh,
nice.
The one time we wanted that to happen.
Very good.
I mean, everything's going pretty smoothly.
In the scheme of things, yeah.
So Sam slaps you. You feel like you can see the people around you. They haven't all been touched yet. This situation, you've seen what she can do. So
You might notice the grenade launcher still on her hip.
right, and you know that you have...
These facts are not lost on Lark. That is for sure. So failing the harm move.
Basically, the slap, it hurts, but it doesn't affect you. You still feel, I think it's like there's not going to be a second one of those. So you still have to make the choice of either she has forced your hand and you've sucked it up, and that's exactly like you've allowed yourself to be hit in front of your cult, or you're going to cave and do what she wants.
He takes the hit, but I don't think the grin disappears, and he still just has this manic expression on his face.
Right.
And he's like, yes, no time to waste. Let's go. And he begins walking out.
And as Sam's walking out, she's gonna stop and just turn towards the cult members and say, "If any of y'all fuckers want to live too, get your asses in gear."
Right.
Basically, she's inviting them to follow her too.
Right.
As Lark steps out of the castle, though, Sam probably notices he's heading right for the castle where the Emperor is.
He immediately grabs the back of his neck. Listen, nope. She's not gonna fucking hunt your ass down. She's got you, and she is not letting you go.
Lark just kind of like gives a look to Sam. Don't you want the Emperor to bear witness to this? Oh, what he'll owe us when we bring that thing down.
We can't bring that fucking thing down. Fucking Air Force carrier couldn't bring that fucking thing down. But I know it can. And I'm going to get it. Along with my girl. And you are coming with me.
And what would the point of that be?
Because then we can wrangle that fucker. And a small smile, that look of worry, slightly breaks as a grin appears on her face. Because what can repel, can corral, can control. That's a knock on my head.
The dog is revolting at that.
Even the Sam's dog gets a bad feeling from Lark.
Just had to take a quick break for a second. Can we take a quick 5-minute break? Actually, it might be a little longer.
Yeah, you're good.
The dog definitely agrees.
All I don't know what's going on with Roll20. It does not want to let me move anything. Come on. Big black blob is supposed to be able to move.
I saw the big black blob moving.
I know. Is it moving now for you?
No.
It's so weird. I'm going to refresh real quick. Yeah, I was just going to say, when we'll see what happens when we come back. We can keep going with Chris if you want. Still, really? Do I have to be that zoomed in? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dusk. Lark was talking to Dusk before he was interrupted.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe for a moment. Let's just check back in with Dusk. Lark and Sam obviously have walked outside. Dusk, this scary individual that dressed all in red that you've kind of seen around a little bit, a bit concerning. What is Dusk's reaction to this situation?
I assume not, but did Breen follow them?
No, none of the cult have followed yet. They were just told to sit down. Lark hasn't given them the order to follow. You might tell that Abraham, your good friend Abraham, this Sam person is really kind of making him upset, and he's fidgeting a bit with that gun on his waist. Not like you don't see him pulling the hammer back, but you definitely see him holding it and just staring at that situation.
I guess I could try to use him to try and learn something about Sam.
Right.
So that would be with a person, but since I'm technically within, wait, let me see. Our victim has to be able to see you. Okay, so he can see me, so I can use the casual brain receptivity.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. You're looking at him. He's got that gun back. What are your questions? He's got his hand on his gun.
What is he really feeling?
Oh. It is difficult for Abraham because right now he's feeling fear, and it's not from it's not the fear of Sam. He is feeling a fear that he may not be able to control himself. Like, Abraham has been working really, really hard to just listen to Lark, obey him, do all of that. But the past few days have been kind of hectic. And so his fear is that he's going to fuck up again. Like, this gun, and that's why he's playing with it. This is not safe. I shouldn't have it. Can I control myself to not pull it out and start shooting? And he also knows that he really has no place in this fight. Both of these people, Lark and Sam, will absolutely destroy him.
Okay, but is he like just acting out of duty for Lark, or does he have like sort of beef with Sam?
Right. So he doesn't have any concern. You might even tell that his look is more you're getting the reading from him that, yeah, really the look is not that he is upset with Sam in any way. He wouldn't want to do what he wants to do. In fact, he seems to be reluctant to even go in, and again, that could be partially because he's obeying Lark's order, but also because there's a little bit of trust between him and Sam. That they're definitely connected in some way.
Okay. So I guess that kind of answers the what does your character intend to do. So he's like not sure what to do.
Right. At the moment, his intention is he's really awaiting the next order, and if anything breaks out, his intention is to get Rourke the gun. Get the gun in the hands of someone that can handle the situation a bit better. But he doesn't want it to, like, especially with Ram nearby, the only other person he trusts with that gun in the room is Rourke.
Okay. Okay, so for my last question, I guess I'll ask, what does he wish I do?
Oh.
Probably help Lark.
Yeah, he wants you to go with Lark. Like, he's heard, again, everyone in the cult has heard what you did for Larissa. They kind of kept it amongst themselves. He knows that Lark is immensely powerful, but he also knows that you are as well. And he's seen what Sam has done, and in many ways, he just sees, like, these three immensely powerful individuals. He wants you by Lark's side. I think everyone, you're getting that read from the entire room. There's some awkward looks towards you in the corner. Like, these people are looking to you, Dusk, to go out and step in.
Some serious peer pressure here in Apocalypse World.
I mean, Dusk could usually just say fuck it and go do her own thing, but I mean, this thing is most likely threatening the castle, so which has kind of become her home by now.
Right.
So I guess she feels compelled to actually get rid of the threat. So
right, and
yeah.
I think there's even more of compel as you notice the light begin to shift. You see the dark shadow cast over the wall, over the church, over the faces of Sam and Lark, and stop above the castle. As that happens, Chris, you've made your way up the stairs. You open the door into the basement. You're in the little office building. There's a hesitation as you kind of grab that door. Do I really have to go? I can just turn back, bar the way, get my squad up and active, get everyone here. I could take the time to help them.
Then I think there's a thought of, with that thing out there in the maelstrom, could he even risk letting them out?
True.
And then there's the fact that and then there's the fact that the generator's on backup power.
Right.
Who knows how many times he could even use the isolation chamber. Because he is sure that thing requires a good amount of energy. He just kind of grits his teeth a little bit and fidgets with the key in his hand. He just kind of looks around the office like, where in the hell could that thing be hiding? And starts exiting the building.
Right. So talk to us a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
The garage would probably be the first place he checks, because that's the logical location, although he wouldn't be surprised if it was hidden somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know that there's kind of where you're at, you have the office building, has a couple floors. Right next to it is the barracks, which is partially buried. Across the way, you have the air hangars, which are almost all completely buried because they're closer to the hills. And the garage is probably closer to the barracks, I would say. Not, it's kind of a bowl where you're at now. So there's multiple hills. And luckily the office is kind of the far end, right? It's towards where the air strips would be leading off towards the cliff. So there's not a ton of snow that comes through that way. Sorry, we're getting Thomas rolling through here. If only that was a car alarm and you could hear it beeping somewhere in the distance. You get to the...
Chris probably has that thought. He's like, wouldn't that be really damn convenient?
Right. You look and it almost looks like a rental key. It's got the little plastic chain on the end of it. And that's the Whisperer yelling, "Don't leave." Give that a moment.
Oh boy. So Chris probably like goes to the garage and tries any vehicle he's able to get in. He'll try the key, but I am imagining that would be a bit easy, and none of the keys fit the standard military vehicles. He's not even sure they'd run if it was the correct key.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have you act under fire here. Just getting into the garage, doing it safely, testing the vehicles that are within. Finding one that actually works.
All right. 12.
Yeah. You almost have to break the door down just to get into the garage because there's so much snow. It's just sitting awkward in the frame, and there's no easy way to open it. So you just kind of boot it down, and you're able to walk into this facility. It's probably large enough for about 8 vehicles if they're stacked, 4 by 2, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The far end of it has sunken down. There's so much snow. It's just low on the ground. There's a couple, probably a series of 2 very large, probably a 30-foot wide garage doors that you can see the whole chain mechanism of the one closest to you still seems to be attached. One on the far end just snapped, just hanging loose. Within the area, there's really only 2 vehicles. And you got such a good roll there that I think let's make something up here. Let's see what Chris gets. Let's see, there's got to be a generator for this.
I believe there is for making a specialized battle vehicle.
Well, it's we got to start to C. That's a name. Here we go. This should work. Give me a random here. I don't want to download it. Just give me a random. Let's see. We're looking at this military. I'm sorry about the squealing going on behind me.
Oh, you're good. Better background noise than spontaneous tech issues like we typically get.
All right, here we go. This should help us. Oh boy, yeah, this should be fun. Okay, let's do... I'm just gonna pick out a few possible options here. All right, so we got one that looks like something you'd have in there. Probably one of those as well. Sure, we'll go with that. Oh, absolutely one of those. That's cool. One of those and one of those. Okay, what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roll me a d6.
Error, barley.
A 4. Okay. You find in there an ATF dingo.
Oh.
infantry mobility vehicle.
Okay. I imagine fully fitted with snow tires and such.
Oh yeah, yep. So I think this is perfect. We'll kind of maybe build this, get you driving a little bit, and we'll go from there. So as far as the frame, and when you're building this, I don't know if you have an extra area to write this in for now, but we start off by default. Your vehicle has speed at 0, handling at 0, 0 armor, and then a massive rating based on its frame. With this is definitely a massive by 2. It's within the coupe sedan Jeep pickup thing. Well, actually, to be honest, no, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say this is a massive 3, which gives it 2 battle options. So right now your stats: speed 0, handling 0, 0 armor, and then massive 3. We're gonna start off by picking out a couple tags here. So for your strength, you can choose 1 or 2. The options are fast, rugged, aggressive, tight, huge, off-road. Let's see. Off-road, responsive, uncomplaining, capacious, workhorse, or easily repaired. So those are all the strengths. So you can pick 1 or 2 of those.
I think I am definitely going to end up picking 2 of those, because this being a big military vehicle, I imagine rugged and workhorse.
Perfect. So then you choose the look. Again, you can choose 1 or 2. And that's sleek, vintage, pristine, powerful, luxe, flashy, muscular, quirky, pretty, handcraft, spikes and plates, garish, gobbled together, hard worked.
Pristine and powerful.
Perfect. And then we have weaknesses. Again, choose 1 or 2. Slow, loud, lazy, sloppy, cramped, picky, guzzler, unreliable, rabbity, temperamental.
Definitely guzzler and loud.
Perfect.
I do not seeing this being a subtle vehicle.
All right.
So guzzler basically consumes a lot of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And then for your battle options, you get to choose 2. And that's just to begin with. So we have +1 speed, +1 handling, +1 massive, or +1 armor. You can choose 2 of those. And you can double up if you wish.
All right. I think I'll do +1 armor and +1 handling.
Perfect.
Because obviously the snow, it probably has some modifications to be good in the snowy mountains.
And then because this is a battle vehicle, you get to choose 2 of these as well. So you can choose to... That didn't copy everything, did it? Oh, it did. It kind of starts in the message above. So you can choose to have an additional battle option, so increase a stat, or you can add, obviously, I would say pick the weapon that's on it. It looks like it's probably the 50 cal, but you can do whatever you want, to be honest. Yeah.
Right. It does look like a 50, doesn't it?
Right, but this is our world. We can make it whatever we want.
Oh, yeah. Trying to think. You know, we will, I choose 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll do the, +1 battle option to give it 1 additional armor. And then I'll do the mounted 50 cal.
Perfect. So as you look into this vehicle, you see that Tammy has left it at about 75% gas sitting on about the second line down from the F. Checking into the back end, you can see the tires are full. There are chains in there. You check into the rounds of the machine gun. They seem to have not been used. Full. Tammy had no reason to use it. Looking around, it seems like she may have been moving supplies with this vehicle for a while. Maybe going out and searching some of the further settlements and bringing some things here. You might see remnants of tie straps and maybe a couple broken pieces of lumber from some crates and things she was hauling.
Chris is probably like taking this all in, like probably cursing himself for not finding this earlier, but then again, he didn't have the key.
Right, and the roof of this place, you probably assumed like it was destroyed, because from the outside, you would not assume anything was functional in here. The snow is piled up so high that the entire place looks like it's just collapsed. It's a really good hiding spot because you're just using nature to do the hiding for you. But once you get inside, it's strong material.
I'll be damned. Looks like I didn't really do a good job tossing this place over after all. He kind of looks down at his sniper rifle like, this is really all I got?
Right?
And, well, a moment of truth. And he puts the key in the ignition and turns it.
It takes a moment and then gives this loud, beautiful, deep roar as it springs to life. That diesel churning groan that you remember what it sounded early in the mornings when the vehicle brigades would start up to do their patrols, almost like a soothing large leopard. You place your hands over one of the vents. Oh, there's heat. So good.
My God.
There's heat.
He starts like kind of warming his hands up a bit. And I think there's a moment where something occurs to Chris. And he kind of looks at his rifle and he looks at the 50 cal. Is there any sort of way to mount an optic on the 50 cal? Because he's thinking back to a story he heard before man-portable 50 caliber rifles were a thing. In Vietnam, a soldier took a 50 caliber machine gun with a sniper scope and for decades held the longest confirmed kill in military history using a machine gun as a sniper rifle. And he kind of looks at his rifle and looks at the 50 cal and like just like starts wondering.
Right.
So he goes up to the machine gun to see if there's some sort of like optic on it.
At the moment, there's not. You have the standard iron sights on there. It has a rangefinder just through the iron sight itself. Probably, again, I have never actually shot one of these things, but the only optic it might have is maybe a tiny. It's got like the laser pinpoint, not going far, but just has a little bit of glass with the laser etch on it.
Okay. Now, does it look like there would be a way for Chris to take his sniper scope and put it on? Like if there was like a rail to mount an optic.
Right. I mean, there probably is a way. There would be a danger in Chris doing it because Chris isn't really that kind. He's not that techie of an individual.
Right. It looks like it would require some work to do.
Right. If Chris were to do it, it's probably using duct tape and the hope that it's actually aiming in the right area.
Oh boy.
Someone else, like there's attachments on there. You can actually see the base plate of the optic itself that someone could easily unscrew that, get the right mount for the optic, and it's going to fit right in that slot, that little slot that runs through the the turret itself. You could easily mount different optics on there, but having the right equipment and then finding a way to actually get the right brace or the right mount for your scope.
Okay. So, yeah, I think Chris is very much just toying with those ideas in his head. For now, I think he leaves everything as is. Is there a map anywhere of the area?
You don't see a map, anything like that in here. It seems like all the files and everything she would have brought inside. There's no reason for her to have kept any of that out here.
Right. So there may be a map like that Chris has seen, but there is not one in here for him to take.
Right. There is a CD sticking out, and you're like, wait, we don't have CDs in here. Tammy's jerry-rigged some kind of CD player to this thing, and you can see a couple, they look like computer speakers up underneath the dashboard towards the passenger seat.
Okay, like she took something from a different vehicle and installed it.
It looks honestly like she took something from maybe the office, like busted it out of a computer and put it in here.
The hell? He pushes the CD in a little bit.
Right. It starts to spin up, and you then begin to hear the now 24 2001, and it's a mixture of you got Alicia Keys and you got Jennifer Lopez and you got a bit of, you got Nelly in there, and it's Christina Aguilera, and it's a whole mixture of things. You're hearing Fallen, and yeah, she's just jamming out to good old 2001 hits in here. You might even hear a bit of your Lonely Road on here if you listen long enough.
Oh, damn.
I think there's something comes up. It's honestly, it's probably So Fresh, So Clean, Outcast. Like, it just comes up and you're like, damn, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
Yeah, Chris is just smiling like...
I mean, after all those years, just listening to the same song over and over.
Right.
Yeah, he just like smiles to himself and says, not really my speed, but god damn, it's nice to hear something different.
Right, and it's like a mixed track of, you might even find some like country, some Toby Keith or something. There's rap, there's rock, there's the pop, there's all types of stuff. It's different, but it's sound between the vibrations of the truck beneath you, the sound. It doesn't sound very good. Like, how computers sound, especially early 2000. These they're probably the big like gray ones with the little knob on the front of them. Have 10
right,
chords.
like she took some outdated equipment that they had.
Exactly. Like, it was the standard stuff they had in the office, and yeah, it's just good to have sound. But it runs. You have a vehicle to travel in. Getting it out of the garage, it must not have been as much snow when she was doing it, because there's definitely been more, and it's piled up. You could probably take the time to dig it out. Or you know what? You could YOLO this whole thing and just bust your way out of here.
I imagine Chris like goes over and tries to open the door just to see if it will at least open first.
Right, it probably moves maybe about 6-8 inches, just groaning the whole way. Like, you hear the metal gears start to strain a bit, and as you do, like, snow begins to tumble in. There's probably a good 5 feet of snow up against this door, and it's just pushing it up against the frame again to make it kind of awkward, almost bow in the middle. So because it's not fully flat flesh, it's just not making its way up the track as it should.
See, Chris kind of did promise he'd come back, so he probably doesn't want to just immediately wreck the garage.
Right.
And I think he leaves the music blaring as loud as it can, and he begins to go to work, clearing the doorway. At least just enough where he imagines he can get the door open. Because this vehicle looks like it'll plow through a couple feet of snow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this definitely looks like it's going to be able to move its way. I mean, you remember why these were built. There was a lot of... Again, there were a lot of wars back then. Obviously, things changed, but you needed something that was able to get people across minefields, to get them through city terrain where snipers and RPGs aren't going to be able to hit them from the side. It's not that you're worried about the vehicle, it's that you're worried about the building.
Mm-hmm.
So you there's obviously shovels and stuff in there. Grab one, and you head outside. And
probably whistling all the while.
After a little bit, maybe it's because the sun begins to get a little bit lower. You just look down the strips, down the valley, down to the cliffs. And while it is miles and miles and miles away, you can see that there is something up above a peak. You probably can see it if you're looking at the map here. You're kind of looking down here and you see this peak, and you're looking up over that peak and you can see this, it looks like a dot in the sky, maybe a bit bigger, and it's up high, higher than that peak.
Chris will take his sniper rifle and see if he can get a better look.
Right, you look at it and it's just, it looks like someone has just taken a drop of paint and put it on the sky. Like the amount of shadow that is just cascading down from it, even though the sun is starting to get dark. You just can see, it's like when a plane flies over in, on the high day, and you can just follow the path, but this is much darker. This is something absolutely blocking out the light of the sun in that area. It's the right location of where you would be going to. It's too far away to really know what it is or what it's doing, but you're not gonna lose sight of it.
There's probably... Oh boy.
Yep.
Like he's probably whistling and he sees that and the pitch just kind of like gradually drops. I can't whistle, that makes me sad. But he's just kind of looking at that. Yeah. And he just kind of looks at that like, ah, hell. Can't even enjoy myself for a minute.
As you kind of clear the snow way, back in the castle, this dark shape completely absorbs not just the castle itself, it extends past it. This blob, and it's too high up to really see. You don't see the wings or anything like that. It just looks like a large blob. Seems to stretch out like silly putty across the entire little valley that the castle is in. The bit of light that was coming through begins to fade. The Legion immediately run around, start lighting torches, trying to move their ballista and various things in position. There's a door being opened on the far side of the castle, and a group of them are trying to push this old wood-sided station wagon, trying to push it out of the garage. All of the people in the marketplace that were just around the area, they have immediately ran. They're hiding in their houses, staring out the window. The only people that are out right now are you three, the Legion, the Emperor, And then there's the first drop. And the second. And the third. And dark black drops begin to splash upon the pure white snow. Drip. 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 And that's where we'll call it for tonight.
Oh, hell.
So.
It's almost time for the final boss.
Final boss fight. Yeah, here we are. Unfortunately, yeah, Sam did have to drop out there, so we will catch this back up next week with the three of you singing in the rain. And Chris with his fancy new vehicle, and should be a lot of fun. I look forward
I wonder
to it.
how Sam's going to feel that Chris got a heavily armed vehicle before her.
For her.
I mean,
Right?
she's not the only problem. Because
Oh,
if that vehicle has like a logo that Dusk recognizes,
Oh, yeah. It's all
damn.
coming together.
Damn, it probably does.
Oh, it definitely does. Right there on the side. It's got Enemo pasted right over it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. No, this
Yeah.
is going to be fun.
Oh, boy. As soon as I got the 50 cal rifle, like I thought, I think it was Charles Hatchcock that took the 50 cal rifle out into the jungle and managed to take someone out at a mile with it.
Jeez.
But I kind of thought of that story, and I'm like, huh, that might be considering the armor most of Chris's targets are gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
That the 50 cal might be a little bit better, and it does have the FAR tag, so I was like,
It is definitely possible. But yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. We can keep updating everything as we need. Sorry, it's a bit of a shorter one out there, folks, but we are getting close to the end of this campaign, so I think the story is getting very exciting, so make sure to stay tuned. It doesn't stop here, that's for sure. As always, thank you to Doom Dead End Star for playing in this chaotic game and allowing me to have a bit of chaos to play in. A chaotic sandpit. It's always fun. But that's all we have for you this week. Stay tuned for next week, and thanks for watching. Take care.
bye.